Hey y'all, it's Ryan.
And Patrick.
Coming up on today's episode, we give our spoiler-free review of Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever. As always, we discuss the latest in Disney news, and we close out the show with some quick D. All that and more on today's episode of Gays Do the D.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Ryan Candied Yams Hollingsworth.
You know I love me some candied yams.
Oh, they're so good.
Hello, Patrick Collard Greens. Kazuki.
I'm on board. The Thanksgiving season is upon us, clearly. We're very hungry right now.
Oh, absolutely. Now, question for you. Do you eat your collard greens with hot sauce?
I have to tell you, I am a person who actually does put hot sauce on far too many things. Is that a thing? Can it be on too many things? I don't know, but I do.
I don't think so.
I put it. So yeah, the answer is yes. I put it on popcorn. I put it on any kind of meats or vegetables. Hot sauce is my jam. What about you?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
The more Tabasco, I want a side of collard greens with my Tabasco. I am precisely, not to quote Beyonce, but I do in fact always have hot sauce in my bag, for sure.
I love it. So Thanksgiving is upon us for those who celebrate Thanksgiving or whatever you want to celebrate in the month of November. Towards the end of November, it's about friends, it's about family. Ryan, do you have any traditions?
Oh, that's a great question. So me and Lane, our tradition every Thanksgiving, usually most of the time is that we'll sleep in a little bit. We'll eat dinner early, probably at like noon, and then we'll go to the movies. And this year we're switching it up. We are not cooking for ourselves this year. We actually have Topolino reservations at Riviera.
No way.
And I am very excited about it.
You should be very excited. Send us photos. We're going to post them on the gram.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I am all about a Thanksgiving. This is my first Thanksgiving meal on property.
Wow.
I'm ready for it.
That sounds amazing. So do they have like a prefix menu that you just sort of, you throw your money down and they just bring you all the foods?
I think so. And I am ready and willing. A prefix menu, you don't even give me options. Just tell me what I'm going to eat. That's the way I like to roll.
That's my dream. That is my dream. I suffer from, what is it when you have too many choices, that complex, the anxiety that comes with too many decisions to make?
Being a Libra. Are you a Libra?
I'm not. I'm a Sagittarius with maybe strong Libra energy, possibly.
Maybe strong Libra energy in there somewhere. Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. I can't wait to hear all about your Thanksgiving meal.
I didn't ask in return to you. Do you have any Thanksgiving traditions?
Oh, thanks for asking. I mean, you know, hanging out with family. I think it's all about that for me. Usually every year we try to do a Friendsgiving. That kind of fell to the wayside during COVID times, and we all just kind of didn't do it anymore. But I always hang out with my family. It also is usually my mother and I share a birthday weekend, which is always sandwiched in between or on either side of Thanksgiving. So we'll celebrate that as well.
Oh my gosh, Patrick, you didn't mention the fact that your birthday is coming up.
Oh, pay attention to me.
How are you just going to slide that one in there?
Because
Happy
it's
early birthday.
Thank you. It's during the holidays, and so I'm used to it. Just sort of like, let me just sneak past the holiday with my birthday. I'm totally fine with that.
Well, for me and JT and Kale, as well as the rest of our Tweedles, happy early birthday. You're the backbone of this podcast.
Oh my gosh.
We all love you dearly.
Well, you were the candied yams of this podcast, so...
Let me gas you up, Patrick. Let me gas you up.
It's not happening. We're moving on immediately into the episode. Because I tell you what, we do have... I say this every time, but it's true every time. We have a lot to get through, and we have a new little segment we're going to get to in a second as well. So let's jump into this episode, Ryan, starting with some Tweedle feedback from the last episode. Do you want to throw us into that?
Sure, absolutely. Anna at A Hickey Photos says that I could not agree more with JT's Sherman Brothers Songbook album. Their music was sewn right into the fabric of mid-century Disney culture, and this album proves it. Listening to these songs brings up so many memories and feelings in pure Disney comfort. Plus, I'm an unreasonably large fan of the Happiest Millionaire soundtrack, and I love hearing it showcased here. Thanks for a particularly delightful episode.
I love that. I have to say, quite a few people hearted JT's choice of the Sherman Brothers songbook for his Fab Five, and I had never, I had heard of it, but I'd never sat down and listened to it, and I did after his recommendation. And I tell you what, it is an amazing album. So highly recommend.
To sit down and listen to it.
You should put it on.
Since it's mid-century, is that like Polynesian vibes? Like, should I listen to it like in my AirPods, just like getting free smells at the Polynesian?
I think very clearly. I think you can be anywhere within Disney property, listen to it, and you'll probably hear most of the songs already without listening to the album on Disney property. So put it on when you wake up in the morning and just have a relaxing, cozy Sherman Brothers morning.
Oh, I gotta do that. I'll report back.
I like it. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, moving on. We have a Robbie writing in from Instagram at cartoon_cookie saying, absolutely loved this episode. It was fun hearing your favorite albums. It gave me something to listen to after this episode of the podcast. Also, I am here for a Sherman Brothers musical. I literally stopped what I was doing at that brilliant idea. Really and truly, I think that needs to happen, the Sherman Brothers musical on-stage adaptation of their life.
We'll just make sure that JT gets royalties.
I think so. Absolutely. 100%. Very much that.
And that we get a 110% cut of those royalties as well.
Yeah, our management fee.
Juan at Jedi Trousers. Can we pause for a second? I'm obsessed with the Instagram handle Jedi Trousers. That's spectacular.
It's absolutely the best. Also, actually, it is Juan instead of Juan.
Oh, Juan. I'm so sorry, Juan. Well, at Jedi Trousers, Juan shares my Fab Five soundtracks. Number 5, Treasure Planet. The music in this film, oh my God, the music. It builds the world from the first note, and it heightens the emotions and adventure all the way through. 100% agree. Treasure Planet gets slept on as a whole.
Yes.
One of my favorite movies. Did it come out around the time that Tarzan came out? I feel like a lot of people talk about Tarzan, but they don't talk about Treasure Planet.
Possibly.
And I feel like they kind of go hand in hand together for some reason.
Yeah.
But so good.
Yeah.
Number 4, The Rescuers Down Under. The score has so many incredible moments, but Cody's Flight is one of my favorite pieces of music ever, along with one of my favorite pieces of animation. Love that take. Rescuers Down Under. Spectacular.
Yes.
Hercules, again. Everything Patrick said, completely mad on paper, but works so well, banger after banger. Saving Mr. Banks, obsessed with this film, and the soundtrack is perfectly moving and uplifting. Beauty and the Beast, basically everything JT said, it's so special. The title track never fails to make me cry. Can I also be greedy and give a shout out to Compass of Your Heart from Tokyo Disney Sea, because it is just so damn good and everyone needs to know.
Everyone needs to know.
Everyone needs to know. Jawan, much like your Instagram handle, I love your taste in music. Slay.
I love it. Yes. I like their take on sort of soundtracks that aren't necessarily musicals, just really good music in the background soundtracks. I really love that. And now it makes you want to watch Treasure Planet again. It makes you want to watch The Rescuers Down Under again. So thank you, Juan, for your input.
Absolutely. Not to dwell on the last episode, but speaking of soundtracks to movies, I'm actually doing a spin ride tomorrow that is all soundtracks to movies as well.
Ooh.
And in case y'all didn't know, the Tron score is so good. Like the Tron Legacy score. I know not a lot of people actually watch the movie, but the music is spectacular.
That's fair. I can totally see that. Yeah, it's got that just sort of like that driving rhythm to it that you definitely want to take a spin class to.
And Daft Punk made the whole entire score too.
Oh, I didn't know that. That totally tracks, though. Yeah. Nice. Love it. Well, thank you, everybody, for sending in your feedback. Please keep it coming. We always love to hear it. Now, moving on, as I said, to a new, I don't want to call it a segment, but something new that we're going to start adding to maybe every episode, depending on what you guys send us. But we posted on Instagram a question of what are you celebrating this week? So, when you go to a Disney park, you get those I'm celebrating buttons for anniversaries, birthdays, anything you want. And so we want to know what you Tweedles are celebrating in your lives this week. And boy, did y'all have some things to celebrate. We didn't get...
absolutely.
We didn't get to all of them, but we got quite a few of them. So, Ryan, why don't you kick us off with our first celebration this week?
Absolutely. Rayanne at Rayanne Sienna on Instagram shared getting an Inspire key at Disneyland. Shout out to you, Rayanne. And Taylor Swift tickets one day after another. Wow, Rayanne, you are one of the chosen people.
Apparently, and so brave to announce that. People are going to come for you. People are going to come and try to steal those.
Lock your doors, sleep with one eye open, and guard those Taylor Swift tickets under a laser beam because somebody's going to come for them.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Rayanne. We also have Parker at ADV Parker saying, starting my new job as a barista. Congratulations, Parker.
Congratulations, Parker. Investing in your future. We'd love to see it.
Yes.
Maverick 21 FM streamer says my wife and I are celebrating our birthdays on Saturday. Congratulations, Mavy Mav and Mavy Mav's wife.
Happy birthday to both of you. We have Finn at Finley Maximoff saying, finally sending my friend her package after nearly a year of having it. You know what? Celebration comes in all forms, and congratulations to you.
Braving the post office in and of itself. You got to celebrate those victories where you can,
You do. Also, I see you, Finn, because I do the same thing. I am a procrastinator, and it takes me forever to do tasks like that.
Oh, absolutely. Jessica at Jessica Bray DeFab survived another week of teaching. Jessica, you deserve to retire early. I think that every teacher... Every single person who has taught in the past 3 years, y'all deserve to retire at 35. We should all just raise taxes for teachers to retire early.
Oh, you said that. You know what? I'm celebrating Jessica, turns out.
Yes, Jessica. We're celebrating you. Thank you for your service.
Moving on, we have Sean at Sean Cruz, who just closed his 4-week run of the musical Rent. Congratulations, Sean, on your successful run of Rent.
Shout out to Sean because, wow, my voice just got very crunchy. I think maybe it's because I'm just so emotional about how much I am obsessed with and love Sean.
That must be it.
Congratulations on Rent. You're killing it, and I'm so proud of you.
Yes, crushing it every day. Moving on, speaking of crushing it, Tommy at Silent Tommy is celebrating getting my nursing license. Tommy, congratulations. That's huge.
Tommy, that is huge. Do you know what rings of fire people have to jump through to graduate from nursing school? It's insane.
Yeah. And Tommy, tell us all about it. We celebrate you as well today.
Yes, tell us all about it, Tommy. Don't be silent. Be the opposite of your Instagram handle. You brag to everybody that you got that nursing degree, okay? Next up, we have Daniel at Dan KO Direct. 42 years of life, baby, exclamation point. You better, Dan.
Work. Happy birthday, Dan.
Happy birthday, Dan.
I love it. Moving on, Kevin at KDevo11 is celebrating my husband Brian for having his hip surgery and finally on his way to recovery. Speedy recovery to your husband Brian.
Absolutely. We actually saw Brian and Kevin a couple weeks ago, and we heard about the surgery coming up. And so we have just been rooting for Kevin and Brian every step of the way. We hope y'all have a speedy recovery, and we will come visit with a get well soon basket soon.
Oh, I love that. I'm sure you have lots of advice for them, Ryan.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Including lots and lots of stay away from TLC whenever you're recovering from surgery, y'all. You get really sucked in, you get really invested, and people make poor choices on that channel.
Oh my goodness, I see you.
Yes. Mackenzie at Americano_Queen is also celebrating a new job along with Parker.
I love it. I love it, everybody. I love this. Keep it up. Keep up the new jobs. Keep up the new nursing licenses. Keep up the teaching. And last but not least, we heard from Nathan at Nathan from the Ensemble saying the finalization of my divorce, in parentheses, in a good way. Okay. All right. Celebration comes in all forms. Yeah. Congratulations.
Absolutely. Nathan, welcome to this new season of You. I'm like on one tonight. I feel like that I'm giving like Iyanla Fix My Life or like Oprah energy right now, and I am here for it.
I'm into it. I'm fully into that. I'm celebrating you, apparently, Ryan.
You.
I love this. Well, thank you, everybody, for sending in your celebrations. We didn't get to all of them because y'all had a lot of celebrations coming through, and I love that. I love starting off the episode with some happiness, some joy. We need it in the world.
Absolutely. I think we should do this every episode, honestly. It makes me feel so good. I'm feeling the warm fuzzies.
Fully into it. Fully into it. Well, speaking of the warm fuzzies, Ryan, we had some tweetles throwing some love at us because we have not one, but two new Patreon family members to celebrate.
Oh, sicka now.
I love it. So Paul and Ernest, love that name, Ernest, have joined our Patreon family. Thank you to both of you. If you don't know, now you know. We do, in fact, have a Patreon page where for as little as $1 reoccurring a month, you can become a part of our Patreon family, and that gets you extra episodes of Gaze to the D called Gaze to the D Raw and Uncut. It also gets you immediate entries into some giveaways. It gives you Zoom parties every once in a while. We just had our first one. So you get some extra things from Gaze to the D, and you can take pleasure in knowing that all of your money is going directly into Gaze to the D, just paying for platform services, paying for microphones if we need them, just keeping the lights on here. So thank you, everybody who has already joined, and thank you for considering joining as well.
Absolutely. The importance of being earnest and Paul.
Whatever is happening right now in your life is working, Ryan, and I'm into it.
I hope that people get that joke. That's a deep cut, but
Yes, they will. They're gonna. People are falling in love with you all over again. As am I, right here live on the show. All right, moving on. We have some more business to discuss. We mentioned it last episode. We're going to mention it again. We have a new nonprofit that we are donating all of our money to for our merch sales. So now through February 2023, all the proceeds, that's 100% of the proceeds that we get from merch sales from Gaze to the D, are getting donated to Dreams Take Flight. Now, this is an organization that came to us through our Canadian Tweedles. You know them as Nick and Dave, who also happen to volunteer with Dreams Take Flight's Ottawa chapter, which is specifically where we are going to be donating all of these dollars that you are sending to us via your purchases online.
So a little bit of background on Dreams Take Flight. In 1989, several Air Canada employees in Toronto planned a trip of a lifetime. They held bake sales to raise thousands needed. Many cupcakes and cookies and healthy ingredients later, they flew 70 special needs children on a DC-9 aircraft to Walt Disney World in Florida. The trip, of course, changed the children's lives, and for the first time, they understood that possibilities exist, possibilities without limitation. So by 1997, Dreams Takes Flight charity had expanded all across Canada to 8 cities: Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, Winnipeg, Ottawa, Toronto, Montreal, and Halifax. And the trajectory continues. So once a year, each chapter replicates that 1989 inaugural flight. So for a very long and exciting day, these deserving children have an adventure in a world-renowned theme park in California or in Florida, all expenses paid, thanks to sponsors and volunteers. And these children aren't accustomed to mind-stretching ideas. They have lots of challenges that might be medical, mental, physical, social, or emotional. So this is a big deal, y'all. Mm-hmm. Air Canada donates the planes. Volunteers raise money throughout the year. Donors give to cover all expenses, everything down from aircraft fuel to park admission, spending money plus cash for souvenirs honors and gifts, and each child and their escort are clad in signature clothing to set them apart in the park as well.
I love it. I love it. This is such an amazing organization. Nick and Dave have been Tweedles of the podcast for a very long time, since the very beginning, I think, and they have been donating their time to Dreams Take Flight, I think, ever since then, and even before then. They've been doing it for a very long time, and I think it's about time we throw some love their way, because it's a very deserving organization. As Ryan said, these children are in situations where they hear the word no a lot. They're not accustomed to hearing the word yes. They're not accustomed to being given anything, especially a trip of a lifetime to Walt Disney World or to Disneyland. So it costs so little to make such a difference. So we hope that you consider making a donation directly to them, or if you want some merch, buy some gifts for the holidays, and know that all of that money is that comes to us is going directly into Dreams Take Flight. So all that being said, if you do want to help us support this amazing, amazing charity, head on over to gazetothed.com, click on that merch tab. There you'll be able to click into our TeePublic shop. And again, 100% of the proceeds that come to us are getting donated directly back into Dreams Take Flight. Or if you already have enough merch in your life, and I don't blame you if you do, go directly to yow.dreamstakeflight.ca, and you can donate directly into the organization.
So, super exciting pivot. It is time to announce the GDTD Thanks giveaway. Are we ready? All right, here we go. Drum roll, drum roll.
Drums.
Oh, that was good. Okay, so our
you.
Instagram giveaway winner is Christopher at Seawells under 13. Christopher at Seawells under 13. We are going to reach out to you via Instagram. Be looking out for an Instagram message because you've won.
Baby, you're a winner.
You're a winner, baby. And our Patreon giveaway winner is our special Patreon member, Steven.
Steven, congratulations.
You know what that made me think of? Were you a big Laguna Beach fan back in like 2006?
I was not, I have to be honest with you.
So for those who are listening to the podcast episode that were super into Laguna Beach, who might be no one, but that was prime high school for me. There was this Kristen Cavallari on the show. She had this really iconic line because she was kind of like a whiny teenager. And anytime she was wanting to get Steven's attention on the show, she always goes, Steven. And that made me think of it. So congratulations, Steven.
My hope is at least one person, and I'm sure one person knows exactly what you're talking about.
So
and are doubled
really
over
so.
with laughter. Yeah.
I really hope so.
Well, yes, congratulations, both Christopher and Steven. We know how to get a hold of you, so we're going to reach out to you and get your mailing addresses, and we will get those prizes sent out to you. And as a reminder, for those who are not following us, the prizes that we are giving out are amazing. So Nicole and her amazing team at Luxaloom are giving away a 10-pack of their brand new circa 1955 Christmas scents, which include the following scents: an Arendelle Christmas, Jolly Peppermint Mocha, Very Merry Christmas, Christmas in Hawaii, Jack's Gingerbread House, Main Street Candy Canes, Small World Cinnamon, Golden Oak Cider, Cranberry Scones, and Snowfall on Maine. That's right. Both Steven and Christopher are getting a 10-pack of these holiday scents donated by Nicole and her amazing team at Luxaloom. If you didn't happen to win one of our prize packs, and apparently there's lots of you out there because only 2 winners were just announced, but fear not, because the team at Luxaloom have given all of our listeners an amazing deal. Going forward, just for our Tweedles, you can now get 15% off of your order using offer code GDTD15. We can confirm that you don't have to use uppercase letters or lowercase letters. You can use a mix of either. It's going to work no matter how you type it in. That's GDTD15 when you head over and do all your holiday shopping at Luxaloom. That's LUXILLUME.com.
This is going to work out so nicely for JT because I know he has a hard time telling between capitalized and lowercase letters. So I feel like this is really good.
The library is open. Oh, I love it. Well, you know what? That's a perfect segue, Ryan, because the library is open right now for This Week in Disney History.
Let's do it. Let's do some Disney history.
Let's do some learning, everybody. Starting out with a birthday, as per usual, This Week in Disney History, 62 years ago, on November 21st, 1961, Disney Imagineer Ruben Procopio was born in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Now, Procopio was a sculptor, an animator, and a designer. For Disney, his credits included The Black Cauldron, The Great Mouse Detective, Rescuers Down Under, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin. So one of his bigger contributions to Disney was bringing back what's called the maquette process to feature animation, which, as I understand it, is the process of building those tiny, beautiful sculptures of the characters that help inform all of the animators how to animate all angles of a character.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so that is called the maquette process, which was brought to Disney by Ruben Procopio.
Well, happy birthday, Ruben.
Happy birthday. Moving on November 22nd, and I'm only going to say November 22nd because this date, throughout the years, has historically been one of the most profitable dates for the Walt Disney Company due to some major theatrical releases, including Beauty and the Beast in 1991, Toy Story in 1995, 102 Dalmatians in 2000, Coco in 2017, and Frozen 2 in 2019. And if all goes according to plan, the movie Wish will come out on November 22nd, 2023.
I'm so excited for Wish.
I'm so excited for Wish. And we know it's going to be a good movie because it's coming out on the same date as all of those amazing movies.
Yeah, I wonder what the juju is there.
There's some magic in the air on November 22nd. I love it. Into it. Well, Ryan, that concludes This Week in Disney History.
The library is now closed.
The library is officially closed, but the newspaper stand is opening up because
it stays open.
It's time for the news, everybody.
Let's do it. Let's jump into the news. That was a good segue, Patrick.
Amazing. One of our best.
One of our best, yes. So November 11th and 12th, which has just recently passed, the Walt Disney World Swan and Dolphin Food and Wine Classic has returned after a hiatus during the pandemic. You know, it just goes to show, I had never heard of the Food and Wine Classic before at Swan and Dolphin. It just goes to show, for those people that are like, why do you always go to Disney World? There is limitless amount of things to do that you never ever heard of. So basically, during the Food and Wine Classic, it is a food and wine festival, specifically at Swan and Dolphin, where you get to experience all types of different world-renowned food dishes from all types of different chefs. And in addition to these extensive menus and restaurants within Swan and Dolphin hosting specialized courses during this time, you also get to learn about the things that you're eating. So you can take courses on everything from wine blending to wine that has bubbles, to learning about how to make beer, craft cocktails, special, how to make homemade pasta, and also several different additional seminars that you can take. So basically, this is a crash course weekend where you get to be a little bit tipsy and then become a master chef without Gordon Ramsay. Highly recommend.
I love it.
I didn't know that this existed. I'm dying to do it next year. And so definitely Tweedles, if you've never heard of the Food and Wine Classic at Swan and Dolphin, head over to Swan and Dolphin foodandwineclassic.com to learn more about this year's event and hopefully go ahead and buy tickets for next year's event as well.
I love that. We have to do this sometime. It sounds right up our alley. It feels like a little bit more of a sophisticated version of like just drinking around the world.
Yeah, it's not me like double fisting, walking past America, giving the American booth a finger.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Happy
everybody.
Thanksgiving. We're Thanks-living, and we're holding people accountable.
Oh, my God. As I'm sure you all know, the holidays are here, which for many people, including we here at GDTD, it means it's time for giving. And of course, it's not the holidays at Disney without the annual toy drive to provide a little extra magic to children in need through the Toys for Tots program. So this year marks the 75th year that Disney has partnered with Toys for Tots, dating all the way back to 1947 when the Walt Disney Company, along with Walt Disney himself, actually designed the Toys for Tots train logo that is still used today. To date, nearly 630 million toys have been delivered to over 280 million children. If you'd like to make a donation to Toys for Tots, you can do so by purchasing a toy to donate directly online at shopdisney.com now through December 24th. On the site, you can specifically select that you are donating a toy for Toys for Tots, and Disney will handle the rest after you give them all of your money. Or if you happen to be in either downtown Disney in California or in Disney Springs in Florida, you can drop off a toy at any of the bins in those areas.
That is absolutely spectacular. 280 million children.
It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. It's 75 years. That's amazing. Wow. Amazing. So in other giving news, though not holiday related, Disney recently announced in honor of the opening of Black Panther Wakanda Forever, they would be awarding $1 million in grants to nonprofits providing the STEM or the STEAM program to young people from historically underrepresented communities. Now, if you don't know, STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math, and then STEAM programs add on the A with arts education. The organizations receiving grants include Girls Who Code, Ghetto Film School, the Hidden Genius Project, Donors Choose, Chicas in Tecnología, and Destination Imagination. Thank you, Ryan, for that pronunciation of Tecnología. In addition to these grants, Disney and Target teamed up to host screenings of Black Panther Wakanda Forever ahead of its release date across the country for their nonprofit collaborators who are serving their communities' next generation of storytellers. The goal was to provide opportunities and access to youth who otherwise may not have had an opportunity or access to see the film. More than 25,000 young people were able to see the movie before its official release. Efforts like these are part of Disney Future Storytellers, which is an initiative intended to empower a younger generation of diverse creators. The goal is to increase access to careers and education in the media, entertainment, technology, and hospitality industries for teens and young adults in underrepresented communities. To learn more about this initiative, head on over to impact.disney.com. You know me. I love stories like this. It always warms my heart, especially during the holidays, but all the time. But I just love that Disney is doing these major efforts for the future of all these communities and for them. I mean, it's helping them as well in the long run, but like investing in the future is something that we never really thought about a long time ago. And I'm glad to see companies like this doing it now.
Absolutely, 100%. And if you look at, we question, how do we correct this thing, this like big systematic thing, like underrepresentation? And what it is that we have to provide equitable resources and not equal resources, because equal resources is just giving everybody the exact same tools to reach the common goal, but equitable resources, customizing those tools based on people's starting points or historically underrepresentation of certain groups of people. So the fact that they're spending this money on these groups strategically, that's the way to go about it. That's the way to bring about more diversity. Yeah. If you want more diversity, you have to act inclusively first. And I think that that's beautiful.
Ooh, I love that. I also love the idea of sort of wrongs have been made and we're sitting in that truth right now. And so we have to change the future. Like we can't necessarily change the right now, but we can change tomorrow instead of today. And I love that idea. I love it.
And Gen Z is just going to save us all. So give them all the money because they're going to save us all.
You better say that for sure. Ryan, I feel like maybe 3 months ago, you and I already started talking about this movie and how excited we were to see it and talk to each other about it, and the day is finally here.
The day is finally here. I've been waiting for this movie literally since the end credits of the first one.
I was just gonna say that, maybe even after the first 5 minutes of Black Panther, I was like, okay, when are we getting Black Panther 2?
When do we get Black Panther 2?
Incredible, absolutely incredible. We all know how much we here at Gaze of the D loved Black Panther. I've seen it probably 150,000 times, and waiting for this movie was like waiting for Christmas Day, right?
Oh, 100%. And after viewing it, dare I say, like in all of the Marvel movies since Iron Man in 2009, this was probably the most emotional movie, emotionally moving movie. I dare I say even past Endgame.
Yeah. I'm on board with you on that one. It is a highly emotional movie. So let's just get into it. Tweedles, you saw the title of this episode. You know what we're talking about. We're of course giving a spoiler-free review of Black Panther 2: Wakanda Forever. We're talking about our feelings first about the movie, just initial thoughts. We'll get into some stats. We'll talk about the cast and crew, and then just recap what we thought about the whole film without spoiling it, because there are many moments that we could easily spoil something, so we're going to have to do some dances here while we talk. But
Patrick, my palms are already sweating thinking about how I'm going to accidentally insert a spoiler, and then we're going to have to start over.
We're not going to do it. We have the power of editing on our hands. But also we should say it has been out for about a week and a half now. So I imagine a lot of people have already seen it, but I'm sure a lot of you have not seen it yet. So again, we're not going to spoil it for you, but we are talking about now how emotional this movie made both of us. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, first off, Black Panther as a movie, it was one of the smartest commentaries about being Black in America that I've ever watched my whole entire life. And then we just picked that up and we continued those beautiful nods to what it's like being Black in America and overall the Black experience in the second one. And it was just done in such a poetic, beautiful way in which it was educating non-Black people on what the Black experience is like. And it took it a step further to educate people on what the overall BIPOC experience was like. I don't want to dive too much into any spoilers. I think that people know what I'm talking about, though, giving previews. It was so just like moving.
Yeah.
It was beautiful in every way. I said in the theater at the very end of the movie, I looked at Lane, I was like, I love being Black. That's what I said to her at the end of the movie. I was like, I love being Black. That's just like you can't watch this movie and just not see the beautifulness of even a fictional African. Yeah. You know, there are plenty of historically African or historically accurate African nods in the movie, whether that be dress, culture, celebration, all of that. But it's everything.
I love that. I fully support everything you just said there. Certainly, as somebody who is not Black in America, I can have deep appreciation for this movie. But it doesn't escape me that I will never truly know what it means to someone who is Black or BIPOC in America seeing a movie like this and finally seeing this amazing representation. And not just representation through a superhero lens, I imagine must be a step further, because guess what? Everybody gets to be a superhero now, you know?
Absolutely. Completely. I 100% agree with it. This is a little bit of segue, but it's going to make sense. I went to a Power Ranger convention last week, and it was a big deal. I met the first Black Ranger, who is also Black, Walter Emmanuel Jones, at the Power Ranger convention. I got to tell him how much he meant to me as a kid because he was my Black superhero. Now, of course, we know that there's other historically Black superheroes previous to him. But to me, my generation, my timeline of Earth, that was like, he was everything. You know what I mean? He represented my people for me, and it like really set the course for the rest of my life. And I think about now, like how much it meant to me to see a Black kid on a Fox Kids morning show, Power Rangers, and how now Black kids get Black Panther. They get Wakanda. They get a Marvel box office hit that everybody, regardless of what your intersection is excited about. And that's beautiful. That just goes to show the progress that we're making when it comes to representation in the media, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a thank you for saying that. It's also a great segue because everyone in America is apparently seeing this movie right now, and it is breaking records. So it had a record-breaking opening weekend. It took in $181 million domestically in its opening weekend, making it the biggest November opening of all time and the second biggest launch of 2022 to date, behind only Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And then moving on internationally, this film took in another $150 million opening weekend for a total of $331 million globally in the opening weekend alone. Just incredible numbers.
Insane.
Yeah.
Like that. I don't even know what $331 million looks like.
It looks like Wakanda Forever, apparently.
It looks like really, Wakanda. It looks really like some vibranium.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. A lot of news outlets have been going to like local theaters and reporting on. They are so thankful for this movie because it gave them hope this year that they will maybe survive as a theater. A lot of these smaller theaters, a lot of the larger cineplexes, of course, are making a lot of money, but they didn't expect that the movie industry would turn around because so many movies are opening only on Disney Plus or only on streaming platforms, and to have it only available in theaters did a lot for these movie theaters. So well done, Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great perspective, Patrick. I really hope it ignites people going back to the movies. And it's funny that you say that. I watched it last night, and me and Lane, because, things are going to streaming so quickly, me and Lane hadn't been to the movies in some months. And we were just talking about today. We were like, man, it was so nice to go to the movies. We need to start going to the movies more again. So maybe this movie will inspire those people to come back and see more things, especially these big blockbusters. Take the time to go see them in the theater.
I think you're right. And yeah, movies are very important to me. It's one of my favorite things to do is go to a movie theater. It's one of the first things my husband and I, Dan, did, when COVID was more rampant than it is now. I keep wanting to say during COVID times. It is COVID times still, but but it's one of the first things that we did once they started opening up again, and we were sometimes the only ones in the movie theater seeing a movie. And now this was the first time in 3 years that I had seen a basically full movie theater, which was really inspiring to see. So very cool. And apparently people are liking this movie as well. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has an 84% ranking with a 95% audience score. So comparatively to Black Panther, that had a 96% ranking and a 79% audience score. So those rankings are a little bit flipped. It sounds like critics are ranking it a little bit lower than Black Panther, but audiences are ranking it a little bit higher than Black Panther, which is interesting.
It's interesting, but I think it also tracks because there are a couple pieces of the storyline that you could tell whenever I'm sure that they saw that Chadwick wasn't going to make it, that they started kind of working on the script and kind of figuring out how they could change it.
Yeah.
It's not obvious, but there are a couple of moments where I was like, okay, maybe this was a pivot after Chadwick passed, but still spectacular. I think that they did the best with the storyline that they could have possibly done given Chadwick's passing and everything, and the way that they honored him throughout the storyline as well. It was beautifully done.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. We'll get into it a little bit more, but I'm kind of with those scores actually in that I would, as a movie, like as a critic, I would maybe rank this just a little bit below Black Panther, only for what you just said. Like there were some moments, because to me Black Panther is a flawless movie. Like it is written within an inch of its life. It's so good. And this one to me just had a little bit. It just wasn't quite what I got from Black Panther, if that makes sense. But I still loved it as an audience member. I still loved it and hooped and hollered at it. So I don't know. I don't know how to describe it better than that, other than I like both movies, but I think I like Black Panther just a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of potatoes and tomatoes because they served very different purposes. You know what I mean? And so it is hard to kind of compare them a little bit, but I definitely agree with what you're saying for sure.
Okay. Fair enough. So, so do you want to tell the kids at home, we're going to read a synopsis of the movie, and then we're going to start talking about some of the cast and crew, and our synopsis comes to us directly from IMDb, Ryan.
Absolutely. So in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Queen Ramonda, Shuri, M'Baku, Okoye, and the Dora Milaje fight to protect the kingdom of Wakanda from intervening world powers in the wake of King T'Challa's death. As the Wakandans strive to embrace their next chapter, the heroes must band together with the help of War Dog Nakia and Everett Ross and forge a new path for their nation. This was directed and written by Ryan Coogler, who wrote and directed Black Panther, Creed, and Fruitvale Station.
I have to say, Ryan Coogler deserves so many accolades. What a wonderful, poetic, forward-thinking director. Both Black Panther and this movie, so good. I'm so glad that he came back to do this one as well, because it really felt like it was really the next chapter of Black Panther, right?
100%. The movie it had a seamless kind of first chapter to second chapter. Like it felt like the first movie just ended and the second movie was picking right back up where the first movie left off, which was amazing. I also, the cinematography, the really specific choices that were made in zooming in slow motion so that people could really take in the visuals of all of the beautiful nods to African culture, and not just one African culture, but many African cultures. It was stunning.
Yeah. Truly stunning. And as you said, Ryan Coogler also wrote this movie as well as Black Panther, along with Joe Robert Cole, who was his co-writer, who was also a writer for Black Panther. So this duo got together and made another incredible script.
Absolutely. And the music was by Ludwig Göransson, who was the composer for Black Panther, The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Venom, and Creed.
The music, Ryan. It's so good.
Laid me down, tucked me into bed last night, that music. It was, the score is just like, you could listen to the score by itself, not watch the movie, and it will bring tears to your eyes. Ludwig delivered there, knew how to set the mood immediately, and just it's something that's so beautiful about music, that especially music without words that can tap into your emotions like that. He did it. It was perfect.
It was perfect, and it was such a good blend of the music from the first movie, and then incorporating the new characters' music as well. So we got sort of Hispanic, a little bit more native in tribal music as well. It just it blended so well and added so well to what was already there from the first movie. It was absolutely brilliant. It made me mad that I didn't include Black Panther on my top 5 favorite soundtracks of all time in the last episode, because I forgot what an amazing soundtrack that is as well.
Oh yeah. The Black Panther is an insane soundtrack and score, and then the additional album that Kendrick and Lamar and SZA did for the first Black Panther, I could listen to that for the rest of my life.
It's absolutely incredible. Absolutely
so
incredible.
Good.
And then, of course, we have Rihanna making a comeback, a major comeback with this soundtrack as well. What a brilliant song.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely beautiful. Wait, hold on. Spoiler. I'm not going to tell you when you're going to hear the song. When you hear it, though, it is going to hit.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Fair enough. It was really good. And welcome back, Rihanna. Welcome back,
Miss Girl. Reuse, recycle, Rihanna. Those are my 4 R's.
If that's not a t-shirt, it's going to be very soon.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Well done. Okay, so if you have seen Black Panther, you have seen most of the cast of this movie as well, because basically everyone who was available, who needed to be in the movie, returned for this one. So just going down the list quickly, but we celebrate all of them equally. Letitia Wright is coming back as Shuri. Lupita Nyong'o as Nakia. We've got Danai Gurira as Okoye. We have Winston Duke. Winston Duke as M'Baku. Queen Angela Bassett as Ramonda. We have newcomer Tina Huerta playing Namor from the new group of characters that are coming into this movie. Returning again, we have Martin Freeman playing Everett Ross. We have newcomer to this movie anyways, Dominique Thorne as Riri, who may or may not be a bigger character later on. Watch out, folks.
I had the same questions.
Oh, we know. We'll talk about it. We know she's coming back. And then we have Julia Louis-Dreyfus playing Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, who we get a little bit more information about in this movie. We've seen her in a lot of the Marvel series out on Disney Plus, and she was always playing sort of a, who is this character? And you get a little bit more information of where she's going, probably for the next installment of Marvel Cinema.
I'm not going to give anything away, but you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. The one thing that happened, I gasped. I audibly gasped in the theater. I was like, excuse me? So I'll just leave it at that. Whenever it happens in relation to Valentina, y'all will know exactly what I'm talking about. Gasped.
Amazing. There were a lot of, for me, there was a lot of moments where I absolutely did that. I was like, what is happening right now? Is this for real? This movie was just full of nods, I think, to the past and nods to the future, because we're going to get a lot out of this movie going forward.
Oh, yes. I have so many questions. I can't wait until everybody watches it. Maybe we can do a raw and uncut that it's like a non-spoiler review. It's like a spoiler. It's like your refrigerator went out 2 days ago. Everything's spoiler, because I need to talk about it.
And everything a fire sale here on Gates to the T of Black Panther information. I'm here for that. Absolutely. It'll happen before the new year. I mean, I don't even need to ask this, but I'm going to ask it anyways. What do you think of the cast, Ryan? Did they deliver as well as they did last time? And what do you think of the newcomers?
Absolutely. I'm trying to find words that I haven't already said so I don't repeat myself for the next 45 minutes.
Yeah.
But the acting in this movie, unparalleled. If Angela Bassett does not get nominated for something for this movie, then I give up, because to me, Angela Bassett alone in this movie was Oscar worthy, in my opinion. I'm a little partial, but Mother came and she left no crumbs. Okay. If we're going to make a Thanksgiving analogy. I also loved Lupita's arc in the movie and the way that Lupita acted it. I saw an interview with her in which she was talking about how special it was for her to be in Wakanda Forever. And then she got a moment to where she got to speak Spanish because she is Kenyan, but she grew up in Mexico. So this was honoring both parts of her culture and both parts of her intersectionality. And I thought that was absolutely brilliant. And also, how often would you get to see somebody who is African get to speak Spanish who grew up in Mexico? That's almost an intersectionality that we don't ever hear of. So that was so cool. I felt like Winston Duke, that man just could I'm going to stop right there.
Fill in the blank.
Somebody turned down the air conditioning.
I can't disagree with you. Winston Duke. He is so equally just physically wonderful, but also just charming as the day is long, and so funny as well. I love him, and I'm so glad they gave him such a big part in this movie. He was absolutely amazing to watch.
Yes, I completely agree. I think that Winston has a long career ahead of him, and I think he's just going to get better and better with age. I think that Winston is our generation's new Forrest Whitaker. You're hearing me say it now. I think that he's going to be playing hardball soon. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I see you. I like that. All right, so let's talk about the newcomers. Tina Huerta playing Namor. Thoughts behind this amazing person? I'm leading the witness here, but this amazing actor.
I have some thoughts.
Thoughts with the THOTS? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I have a plethora of thoughts. But I can't imagine how intimidating it would be to walk into this cast as a newcomer. Shout out to Tina, because it was spectacular. And I can also imagine the pressure of representing Mayan culture to this degree, kind of for one of the very first times in blockbuster history in this fashion. And I felt like that he did it flawlessly. At one point, just with his acting and his, I don't know how to explain it, but at one point I forgot I was watching a Marvel movie. When it came to his scenes, he just did such a great job.
Did a great job, yeah. He interestingly had an introducing credit because I believe this is the first project he's worked on here in the United States, but not a novice to acting. He, I believe, is a pretty famous actor in Mexico.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he was captivating, to say the very least, to watch. And what an amazing moment that must have been for him. I don't want to put words in his mouth. He's not here. I'll put other things in his mouth. But he, but what a job to sort of represent. Like, we haven't seen a lot, if any, representation from the Hispanic and or Latinx community when it comes to superhero movies. And that must have been a lot on not only his shoulders, but the rest of the amazing actors and actresses who were around him as well. What a feat that was, and what an emotional moment that must have been for them.
Absolutely. I mean, huge shout out. I feel like the Latinx community has had really great big wins in representation this year between Tinoch and Diego Luna, and having people who, I think it was Diego Luna talking about how, yes, you get to see a lot more Latinx representation in media, but oftentimes it's not as much Latinx people who have a stronger accent. And so you can be a native Spanish speaker with a heavy accent, and you can be the lead role in these blockbuster moments. And I absolutely love that. So big shout out. That's super exciting.
Yeah. I love that. Love that. And then I want to, last but not least, talk about, I guess not last, because I do want to touch on another actor in this movie, but Dominique Thorne playing Riri, a newcomer to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, I don't know what to say without spoiling it. You know what I mean?
Yes, I agree. I think that Dominique had a really hard role to provide comic relief in an otherwise very, very heavy movie. And I think that she did an amazing job at it while still honoring what the movie was doing.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see what happens with this character and who else from the Marvel Cinematic Universe that they may potentially meet who is a low-key rocket scientist, if you're picking up what I'm putting down.
I am picking that up, and you are putting it down very gracefully. I appreciate you.
I do think that this rocket scientist that exists somewhere else in the Marvel universe and her are going to have to meet each other at some point. I just think it's got to happen.
I love you. I love you so much. Yeah, you're absolutely right. If you are following MCU at all and you haven't seen this movie yet, you probably already know what we're talking about. And if you have seen it already, you absolutely know what we're talking about. And there is confirmation that your thoughts are correct, Ryan. They are going there. In fact, I believe a series will be coming out with this new character. Yeah. So it's your wishes are coming true. Everyone's screaming at us right now, so we should stop talking immediately and go on to the next thing.
Okay.
But I do want to say, fun fact, this particular actress, Dominique Thorne, initially, back when Black Panther was coming out, auditioned for the role of Shuri, and of course did not get it because it went to Letitia Wright. So they did like her a lot, and they had plans for her, so they brought her back for Black Panther 2 with this new character.
That's beautiful. Congratulations, Dominique.
Well done. You did it. So, okay, I think we have to talk about this because it's been on my mind lately. Letitia Wright, also in this movie playing Shuri. There had been some interesting controversy around Letitia Wright. First, I want to talk about, I thought that she did such a beautiful job in this movie, and she must have had the pressure, I don't even say the word weight, the pressure on her shoulders because of some of the controversy that has been swirling around her to deliver an amazing performance. And I think she did exactly that.
I completely agree with you. I was very interested going into the situation, and with the controversy around Letitia and everything, I recognized that the character is separate from the actor, and I was surprised, not to give anything away, but given some of the controversy, I was surprised that the story went the way that it did. I was expecting there to be a potential pivot that would happen because due to the controversy, but I thought that she did absolutely spectacular, and was so happy for her by the time that the credits rolled. Especially to be in her position, and also, you know, the crossover into mainstream media that she did, regardless of the controversy and how you may feel about the controversy. It's a big deal for someone like Letitia to hold this role. And she absolutely killed it.
I agree. Absolutely. That's very well said. So if you don't know already, back in 2020, this was kind of when vaccines were first starting to roll out. Letitia Wright did retweet somebody else's tweet. She did not make it up. She did not make this video, but it was a video of somebody who is an anti-vaxxer, or at the very least, someone who is questioning the efficacy of vaccinations and whether or not we should be doing them. So Letitia did post that, and she immediately got she got her hand slapped for it, for lack of a better word, right? She did come back out and make statements saying that she never meant to cause harm to anybody, but she was questioning what's going on with vaccines. She was making a statement about we should be questioning things before we put them in our body, which, you know what, I can't deny that, you know, we should all be knowledgeable about what we're putting in our body. I can't deny that. And I have to admit, she is, and she was very young at the time as well, right? Like, this is, and not to say that young people are stupid by any stretch of the imagination, but, you know, things that we post sometimes elude us, right? We don't sometimes see the future behind what we're posting, and whether or not your intentions are good or bad, consequences do happen, though. There was also some controversy. A lot of people said that she then went on to the set of Black Panther and potentially Black Panther 2 and was spreading information about being an anti-vaxxer. Now, I did some research, and I don't think that actually happened. I think that Letitia Wright is the victim of America not giving grace to a Black woman, if that makes sense, right? The more I thought about it and the more I think about it, the more I am on the side of owing, on behalf of GDT, a little bit of an apology, because we did the same thing. We heard the story and we assumed it was true. And we reported on it and we joked about it a little bit, not understanding that we give so much grace to everybody else in America when they make a mistake, whether or not it is a mistake or not, and we are quick to forget about it. And when it's a Black woman, we drag her as a country, as a world, and that is not okay. So I just want to say, before you have any more thoughts around what she may or may not have said, consider the source. And some of the sources from Black Panther, a lot of people from the cast are coming out and saying she never did that. She never came up to us and spread all these anti-vax things. It was made up by the media. So all that to say, believe what you want to believe. I personally am choosing to go, I think that she was a victim of circumstance, and I think that she's apologized for any wrongdoing she may or may not have done, whether or not she owed that apology, and that's pretty big. And I want to believe that both Marvel and Disney, I'm sorry I'm rambling here, but I just want to get this off my chest, that both Marvel and Disney would not have stood behind her, I don't think, if they really thought that she had ill intentions. And so I want to clear the air for myself personally. Letitia Wright, I see you, and well done. Well done to you. You put on a brave face, and you delivered an amazing performance in what could have been a really, and probably has been, a tumultuous time in her life.
Oh, 100%. Patrick, you couldn't have said it any better. You really couldn't have. I agree with you. It's really, really hard, right? Like, where we're in now in the state of social media and in a state of a time in which entertainment itself is very political right now. And there's, I hate to even say the dangers of cancel culture, but there are dangers, because there is a very thin line between keeping people accountable versus an anchoring bias or relying on the first piece of information that you get to make a quick judgment about somebody. And I think it just goes to show that, like, we have to be very careful with these thin lines. And as you were just saying, there are a lot of double standards when it comes to cancel culture for specifically underrepresented groups of people. And so we have to be really careful. We have to gather all of the information. We have to consider the facts of where we're getting the information from. Don't get me wrong. Cancel culture has keeping people accountable, and that's great. But there's a thin line, and we got to be really, really careful. And I think that you're exactly right with Letitia Wright being one of those people that was disproportionately affected by the nature of kind of the world right now too. Yeah.
Well, here we are. So
here we are. We're just really diving in. There's people probably listening to this is like, I thought this was a Disney podcast. We're having a TED Talk. Like, what's going on?
No, but these are important conversations.
Yeah.
And I think, we all have to hold ourselves accountable, and I want to hold myself accountable that I was quick to jump to conclusions, and
for sure.
And whether or not any of it was accurate is beside the point. The point is that, I'm ready to move on, and I'm sure Letitia Wright has been already ready to move on from all of this. So
let's do it.
Consider the sources, and let's move on. Let's get more into the movie. So you were talking about intersectionality. Unpack that a little bit more for our listeners of what you mean by that in terms of this movie.
Sure. I think that there were some really interesting moments of intersectionality, not just within the Black community. For example, our new character, Riri, being Black, being African American, but not from Africa, and so doesn't have this context of Wakanda. And the beautiful thing about Riri's introduction into the story, I felt like showcased Black women protecting Black women. And I think the background of having the intersection of being a woman and being Black, I don't want to speak on it too much, because I know that Black women are the cornerstone of my culture. But I'm not a woman, so I don't want to speak on it. But the amount of time that we spent in this movie with Black women protecting Black women, I felt like was a beautiful, beautiful statement. And so that intersectionality I thought was beautiful represented. I thought the intersectionality, when we look at the first Black Panther movie, Killmonger introduced this concept of what it's like to be Black in America, but be super disconnected to your African roots and not knowing anything about your culture. So for background, for people who don't know, of course, due to slavery and the hundreds of years of slavery, during slavery times, slave owners did not allow for African practices or for African slaves to uphold their culture, to maintain their language. They were forced to learn English. They were forced to become Christian. So a lot of us as Black people, before 23andMe existed, we have no idea what parts of Africa we're from. We have no idea what languages our people would have spoken. We are very disconnected from our actual African culture. Of course, we created a subculture of being Black in America as a byproduct of slavery, and Black culture is absolutely beautiful. But a lot of us have that. Carry that weight that we're disconnected from where we're actually from. And I love the way that they talked about that in the first Black Panther. And I love the way that they continued that story with our new character of Riri, and showing Riri rising above in spaces in which she traditionally hasn't belonged, despite this disconnection from, Africa. I thought that was really cool. Yeah. I also loved the intersectionality of the greater discussion of being BIPOC overall and what that experience is like. Not to give anything away, and I would be interested to hear your opinion, Patrick, but the conversations with Namor and the Wakandans, for me, my biggest takeaway was it was a big nod to sometimes because of the prevalence of white supremacy. White supremacy is so prevalent that it sometimes pits BIPOC people against other BIPOC people when we could be each other's greatest allies. And the way that they talked about that was so smart. I just, the way, sorry, I'm just like stuttering over here because I'm trying to gather my words. The way that Ryan Coogler has pieced together these really abstract thoughts that nobody has really talked about on a grander scale in mainstream media. And the way he's done it in such a tongue-in-cheek way for other people who are not these intersections, they can understand it visually because of a superhero movie. Hats off to him.
Yeah, I thank you for saying all of that. That is such a great perspective, and I'll echo what I said before of like, as a white person in America watching this movie, the appreciation level is obviously there, but like the deep understanding or I don't live that experience, and so it's so wonderful to hear your thoughts on all of this, and yeah, I had the same takeaway of that intersectionality as well. I think Americans want to focus on one thing at a time when in the reality is that all things exist at all times. And Marvel has, and Disney has been guilty of that as well. In like, we had Black Panther, which only focused sort of on the Black community. We had Shang-Chi, which only focused on an Asian community. And now with Black Panther 2, we're getting two of those communities, two of those non-white communities together in a movie with equal importance, both living together, saying we're both here. We've both been here. We will both be here for a very long time. So stop focusing on one or the other, because there's some plot lines of infiltrating different camps when someone isn't looking, and it's such an interesting storyline, right? Of bringing that in of like, no, we're still here. Though you're watching a movie that is only the Asian community or only the Black community, this other community still exists too. Where's our moment? So why can't we all weave together and make one powerful story?
100%. I almost felt like the sneaking into each other's camps and things like that felt like a semblance of sometimes within BIPOC communities, we often measure our levels of oppression with other BIPOC people, when instead there is plenty of space to honor the oppression of whatever group of marginalized BIPOC people that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And you do not have to compare oppression. It happened, right? And we talk about slavery a lot, but it's something that we don't talk about as much. And maybe we don't talk about it because I'm not a part of that community. But we don't talk about the Spanish colonizing Mexico. And it was really interesting. And, the Tinoch got some backlash because there was a line in the movie talking about how, the Spanish came in and with this hateful language and also disease. And a lot of people don't think about the fact that Mexico speaks Spanish because of Spain infiltrating and oppressing their people. So, I just really enjoyed the semblance of, hey, we don't compare oppression. Both sets of oppression are valid and can be honored in the same space.
Such a great point of, because they were, it's hard to talk about this without giving away anything.
It's so hard
of the actual background of these, of the new, I don't want to use the word, tribe, but I mean, that's kind of what they were, right? And it's when you see it, you'll understand exactly what we're talking about. If you have seen it, hopefully you do understand what we're talking about. Another thing I pulled from the movie was this interesting political conversation as well, and this sort of storyline of leadership and how a community isn't defined by its leader at all times, right? That though someone is speaking on behalf of a group of people, they are not always speaking really for that group of people. And that was a really powerful storyline that I took out of like, oh boy, is that ever true? And how easily people can be sort of swindled by the person who's supposed to be leading them and doesn't always have their best interest at heart.
Absolutely, Patrick. That was a perfect way of saying that too.
Or a rambly way. Who knows?
Oh, no.
I'll find out in the editing.
You're good. I completely agree. And it also was such an interesting take on what's the word I'm looking for here? Where sometimes Americans, we feel like that we have, as a world power, we feel like that we have to step in when we don't. We have no business. You know what I mean? What's the word? There's a certain term when it comes to politics in which America does that a lot. And I can't think of what it is, but that was another really interesting kind of subtext within the movie too that I really enjoyed.
Someone's screaming the word at us right now because neither one of us can
yes,
think of
because neither one of us can think of it because I am a glass of wine in, but
well, we'll text it to each other later tonight.
Yes.
I love it. All right. Well, we went pretty deep so far.
Yeah, we did.
On this movie, and rightfully so. This is a very complex movie. It's got a lot of layers to it. Not that we should be comparing it, but when you think, we did a little bit already, when you think about this movie versus Black Panther or in tandem with Black Panther, is this a movie? So for me, Black Panther is a movie that I watch over and over. Like it's if I don't know what to watch, I can put on Black Panther and know I'm going to watch it from beginning to end. For me, I don't know if that's going to be this movie as well. And maybe it's because it's a lot heavier, I think, than Black Panther is.
Yeah.
What about you? What are your thoughts on that?
I would definitely agree with that. This is a heavy movie. Like, we really step it up in the concepts of intersectionality. We really step it up in the concepts of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it's a lot to sit with. It's a lot to sit with and a lot to process. Yeah. And not only that, but we are all grieving the loss of Chadwick. And this is not a Marvel movie that you just like, you sit and watch on like ABC Family because they're running like a Marvel marathon. This is like like you need to lay down afterwards. You need to think about your life and take a moment to like cry. So but it's also perfect.
Yeah. It's and it's also like literally a very long movie as well. In fact, it's the second longest Marvel movie of all time, second only to Endgame, which was I think 7.5 days long, I believe.
Is approximately
for that one?
Approximately around the line of around the length of biblical creation. Yes,
yes. But I will say I didn't mind this movie being as long as it was. Because I couldn't, I was trying to think, what would they have cut? Like, all of it was very important, you know? I didn't see anything that was like, oh, they didn't need that. I felt like it was all spliced together so well in a coherent way that I got all, or most at least, of the messages that they wanted me to get out of it. So I'm not mad that it was that long.
And it was so visually stunning that even when you're sitting in these moments of heavy emotion, I think that was like a beautiful thing about the movie. You're sitting in moments of heavy, heavy emotion, but visually you're just like in awe at what you're watching, that it kind of allows your body to live in that space a little bit longer. Yeah. Yes, it is really long, but I personally, and I was sitting in a very comfortable AMC chair, but it did not feel that long. Like at the end of the movie, I could have gone another hour, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I did not take a bathroom break because I was like, nope, I am not missing a second of this movie. So
yes,
well done.
I also think that it didn't feel as long because a lot of times a lot of Marvel movies are leading up to a fight, and then the fight is like the central part of the movie, whereas the fight is not at all the central part of this movie. And I think that that's why I was able to get through it and sit through it a lot longer.
That's such a good point. That is such a good point, because the first movie was very action forward, right? There was a lot of fight scenes and just really quick cuts, which maybe for me, maybe that's saying a lot. That's a note on Patrick, who just doesn't have a very big attention span. Maybe that
me too. Age of Ultron, I sat there and I was like, this movie could have ended 35 minutes ago. Put the rock down, put the city down. I'm ready. Let's go. I'm tired.
Oh my god! Oh, I love you so much. That's great. So okay, well, final thoughts then. I think we've exhausted all we can say about this movie, and yet still have 4 hours more to talk about it. But
100%.
In conclusion, what is maybe a critique you have of this movie, and then what did you especially love about this movie?
I'll start with my especially love first. My especially love is if you're looking at a time in which people are talking about I'm listening, I'm learning, and they're working on the voices that they're learning. I think Black Panther, in a pop culture reference, is diversity and inclusion for Black people 101. And I think that Wakanda Forever is that same lesson 201. You get to start the next semester. You're diving deeper into the concepts. You're diving deeper into Black culture, and you're diving deeper into the intersectionality of what it's like to be Black in America. And I loved it for it. It was so good. I think that this should be taught in film school, and there needs to be more movies like it for other intersections of people. The only critique that I have is there were times in the movie that you could tell that there were very, very small moments in which you could tell that there was a pivot made in the script because of altering changes that were happening probably in real time as the script was being written. And I think it could have been a little bit more seamless, just a tad. With that said, they pulled something off that is absolutely marvelous, making a movie with one of the most beloved characters not being able to be there.
Yeah.
But and that's even hard to even say that critique, but you could just tell just a little bit.
I feel you. Yeah, that makes total sense.
No.
I guess I'll start with my critique so I can end on a better
positive note. Yeah.
Yeah. The only real critique I had of the film, and this is just a personal style preference, I think, and this isn't giving anything away. There's a lot of water sequences in this movie.
Yes. There's lots of water.
Water's hard to do. It is a really difficult thing, and they did as well as anyone can do with it. I just think, I don't know if we're there yet, in my opinion, of like really believable underwater sequences that don't look a little, pardon the pun, fishy to me. It just, I don't know what it is. And it was suspect. And it was interesting that they pulled this movie out, especially with that part of it so close to Avatar, The Way of Water, because it was giving me a lot of those vibes, and probably unintentionally, because there had just been a preview to Avatar before this movie, and I was like, oh, I hate that I'm comparing it. I don't want to compare it because these are such different movies. But it was just an unfortunate time, I guess. But so that's really my only critique of the movie. Otherwise, I loved it so much, and I think I'll just echo what you said. I'm just going to steal what you said because you said it better than I would have. That this is definitely, it's part 2. It's 2.0. It's just the continuation of a conversation that, fortunately and unfortunately, we're having via cinema as opposed to real conversations with our neighbors and our brothers and sisters. And fortunately, because we get this amazing piece of art that we get to look at for the next million years. So I think you're right. I think this and Black Panther are going to be movies. They're going to be looked at years to come as a movement, really, as a real cinematic movement that was long overdue. But I feel lucky that we get to experience it in the time that we get to experience it in, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, Patrick. Once again, could not have said that better myself either.
You could have, and I think you did earlier. I just said what you said. So
no, you're good.
So safe to say, we both really celebrate this movie, and we think that you should all go see it this holiday season. It's an amazing movie. I don't know if I would say, would you call it is it a family movie? Like, I don't know. Is it appropriate for all ages? I know that it is educationally, but I don't know violence wise if it is. I don't know. It's hard to know.
I kind of question that with every Marvel movie.
Yeah.
I would not bring my 7-year-old. No.
Yeah.
It's a long one, and it's also it's very, very dialogue heavy. So if you have a younger child, I don't think that is what's going to be the draw for them. It is, I would say, if your child is like middle school and above, I do think it becomes a little bit more of a family movie that way.
You're right. It does feel like a big ask of a 7-year-old to sit through a movie like this, because they might they might get a little bit bored because it's a lot more story heavy than Black Panther was. So
there was a child sitting relatively close to us, and they had lots of questions for that full 2 hours and 45 minutes. So I'm going to say maybe not if you have a child.
Fair. Fair enough. You heard it here first on GDTD. Oh, well, Tweedles, now it's your turn. We want to know what you thought of this movie. What are your comments? What are your critiques? What did you love? What was something you pulled out of it? What did you think of the cast? All of that and more. Go ahead and send it to us on the socials. That is at GDTD podcast, or leave us that voice memo or an email that we love so much at info@gazetothed.com.
Winston Duke. Can we go back to him?
Okay, so Winston Duke and Tina Huerta walk into a bar. Like, who are you going to first?
I'm going to walk up to both of them at the same time and be like, hey, I saw y'all both from across the bar and I really liked your vibe.
Oh my God, is that your line? I love this. The Ryan magic right here on GDTD.
Well, have you seen that meme of like, we saw you from across the room and we really like your vibe?
No, apparently I'm too old. I'm not.
Well, it's like a joke about couples who go to the bar together to pick up somebody.
I like
it's always like, the meme is always like famous couples that look kind of creepy. And so that's the whole funny thing about it. And so I'm flipping the script. I'm walking up to them.
I love it. Once again, teaching me new things here on your podcast. Thank you, Ryan.
You're welcome. Hey, Patrick.
Hey, Ryan.
So now that we have dove into every single concept that we possibly could, without spoiling Black Panther for everyone, you know what time it is?
First of all, we may have ruined Black Panther for a lot of people. I don't really know.
Some people are probably just like, I just wanted to watch a superhero movie.
Yeah. We spoiled it in a different way, maybe. I'm not really sure. But I do think I know what time it is. I think it's Quick D time.
It's Quick D time.
I love it. Here we go. So we're going back to, we asked you Tweedles for some Quick D questions, and you delivered. I think we have 2 of them that we're going to pull out. Are you ready, Ryan?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. So Randy at Magical Travels with Randy wrote in asking, who would you want to see in the Walt Disney World Christmas show?
Megan Thee Stallion.
Oh.
With Daisy.
I could have had infinity guesses, and I never would have thought you were going to say that. That's amazing.
Definitely Megan with Daisy, because I feel like Megan and Daisy serve very similar energy.
Can you imagine if Walt Disney World was like, and now welcome to the stage, Megan Thee Stallion? That would be incredible.
It would be incredible. I have no idea what would happen, but it would be incredible.
I think that's why it may never happen, because they have no idea what would happen.
They have no idea what would happen either, but it would be spectacular. Okay, your answer.
It would be a show. It would be an absolute show. Oh gosh, I don't know if I can top that answer. That's incredible, Megan. Now I kind of want to see Megan Thee Stallion. I mean, that would be an absolute dream come true. I feel like also we need more drag queens in the Christmas show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why is Nina West not in it? I don't understand that. That's their new drag queen.
Important question. I think Ginger Minj would be absolutely spectacular in it too.
Yes. Drag it up, Disney.
Ben de la Creme. Ben de la Creme would be so good in a Disney Christmas show.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, she basically is a Disney queen. Anyway,
she is a good. She is.
I love this. All right, we have Megan Thee Stallion and drag queens basically in the new Christmas show. Yeah.
Yes.
I think we also just Imagine Queered the Disney Christmas show as well. We
did.
So well done to us. Well done to us. All right, moving on to our second question. We have Sean at Sean Cruz. Hi, Sean, saying, what is something behind the scenes that y'all have learned with this new host crew? Ooh, he wants some tea about each other. What have we learned? You know what we've learned? I've learned that a lot of you Tweedles are thirsty for these new co-hosts.
Have you? Is that true?
It's very true, and rightfully so. I mean, like, what a crew. But y'all are some thirsty tweedles out there sometimes.
But listen, people be dehydrated sometimes.
People. I just snorted. You made me snort on the
Give me an IV.
That's amazing. All right, what have you learned?
I think that all four of us are so different. All four of us are completely and utterly different people, and I think that that's what makes this group so much fun, is that, like, we are all almost always a little bit shocked at what the other person says, because we're all are so different. And I love it. You never know what's going to come out of everybody's mouth in this group. And let me tell y'all, our group text, insane. It's insane. It's my favorite group text. I could talk to everybody all day long. All day long.
We should. No, we can't. We really can't ever publish our group text because we would be canceled immediately, probably.
Yes.
But I have learned that as well. I like that I gave a crude answer and you gave a community organizer answer. That's the difference between you and me, Ryan. But you're very right. I've also learned that these three amazing co-hosts are. I literally never know what they're gonna say next, and I am shocked hourly, I think, by some of the things that they say.
Absolutely.
So that's the tea. We're ridiculous humans. That's what we've learned about each other.
Wild and woolly.
Yeah. News to no one, though. News to no one.
Yeah, news to nobody. Alrighty, y'all, that will do it for this episode of Gays Do the D. Thanks for listening. To become a patron of the podcast, visit our website at gaysdothed.com/donate. For a donation of any amount, you can receive exclusive Gays Do the D content and help us to continue to bring you the very best Disney news and discussion. Continue the conversation after this episode on Facebook and Instagram at GDTD Podcasts. Also, submit your questions or show ideas to info@gaysdothed.com. Have a great week, everyone, and see you real soon.